Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Just sip of my water first, get my radio voice going. Let's talk about this. All right, as you guys saw from the training vlog today, I went over to adding more volume on beltless pause squats. It's something that I know that I need to do again, because really, if you guys remember when I was back in the UK, I'll flip in a couple pictures here, a couple different shots. And then in there is also me doing a pause squat with 508 pounds. That's a straight up high bar with a 1 second pause at the bottom, okay? I was hitting stuff like that. That's how I was training back then. And, you know, I did have a lot of specificity on squats because I mostly trained at home and I didn't have access to any machines or anything, and I didn't bother with other stuff. I built massive quads doing squats. And most of them were similar to high bar type. They were usually deep. They were usually pause squats. And I did a lot of beltless pause squats. And I had quads. And the thing is, it built a big squat for me. So what I'm doing with my training, obviously the upper body is geared towards, aesthetics right now, doing more bodybuilding type training. But I want a big bench and I want to have big weighted chins. But that's also part of getting bigger. But as far as the legs go, you know, since the last couple years, my quads have regressed, and I've messed around a lot with my belt squat machine, and I've tried to make it work because it takes a lot of floor space. I spent a decent amount of money on it. But at the end of the day, I cannot, no matter what I do, none of that equipment gives me the quad stimulus that I get from a straight up deep pause squat. None of it. I used to get a similar effect from leg presses on a 45-degree leg press slide, okay? And it used to work great. In fact, that is actually the tool that I like the most for all of my lifters, and I know some of them have access to a belt squat, but at the end of the day, my strongest squatters have lived on the leg press, okay? If you guys recall, I had one of my guys do a 615 squat. Okay, he went on to squat 680 in the 220. We did squat work, and then we did leg presses for him. Same thing, my strongest pound per pound guy hit a 505, and I put up footage of all that on my channel. You guys have seen all this stuff. He hit a 505 in the 170s. You know, again, what did we do? A lot of his hypertrophy was leg press. But the thing is, I don't have a leg press, and I have personally found that for me, squats do the same thing. I've just been lazy. I've been pushing everything else that I do way harder than the squats. I started pushing them just a little bit this summer and then backed off a bit. Now that my shoulder health is good, I have a decent bar position where I can hold it on there and it doesn't hurt. I can do multiple sets. I really do need to ramp up the squats. And as long as I don't have overuse or incorporate the exercises that mess up my shoulders again, I think I can get away with that long term. And I've never had a problem hitting big squats with a high bar anyways. So as I look at it, I mean, the fact that right now, as of right now, for me, Jason Blaha, having a sub 500 pound squat, unacceptable. Not when you guys have seen what I'm capable of when I'm at my best. And even when I went back and looked at my old footage and I realized what my quads were looking like there, I used to come in and do stuff like 10 sets of 3 with 405 on a beltless pause squat, okay? That's how I have those quads. And I'm not disregarding high reps. I like high reps for a lot of things. But when we get into something like the squat, I do think it is still the cumulative effective reps, like with all other movements. But me hitting that higher set count lets me practice setting up. And that's the main thing, is getting a consistent setup. And that's the only way I'm going to have a respectable squat again. And I'm really, really unhappy with how my quads look right now. Like, I look at the pictures I put up, the thumbnails, everything else, and I'm like, the upper body's come along great, man. My calves are great. My hamstrings are great. The upper body needs more work. I need more arm. I need to obviously get leaner in the midsection. Those are things that need to happen, right? But my quads, and we're at a point now, it used to be my squat was my strongest lift for a little while. I'm at a point now to where my bench and my deadlift destroy my squat. My squat is my worst of my big three. Even from a weight perspective, because if you add my body weight plus plates, my chin-ups are technically ahead of my squats. Me, right? I'm walking around at 220 and I'm doing 3 sets of 10 with a 45-pound plate on chins. I'm struggling in the 400s on squats. Probably couldn't hit a 500. My quads have atrophied. I'm just going to be honest, the belt squat, the other stuff that I have is not going to work for my quads. It's not working. It obviously isn't working. I know it works for me. And that is pause squats, deep pause squats. A lot of them done beltless. That's how I originally got my squat past 500 again after learning to walk again, because I was sick all that time. I had to rebuild. So that's what I'm going to be doing more and more of. And today I kind of, if you guys watched the vlog, this video, I may not put this up till tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. If you watched the vlog, of course I started with 10 and then went down, and that was a hard set of 10. And then 5, then a couple triples and some long pauses. But realistically, I know that I need to come in and just hit low reps with at least a rep in reserve, 1 rep in reserve, come in and hammer those until I'm fatigued, right? And just repeat this process. Because I used to do this more than once a week. And it worked. It worked extremely well for me. Okay? And I really do think that because my lower body have done really well on stuff, I don't think I need anything more than squat and deadlift variations in my reverse hyper. I feel like the reverse hyper is a godsend, but I've always been able to do really well with squats and deadlifts with just a bit of specificity. I mean, I like things like deficit pulls and stuff, have worked really well for building my personal deadlift. And as long as I get some posterior chain work in, it doesn't seem to matter whether it's good mornings, whether it's the reverse hypers. As long as I get some hamstring work in to go with all of it, my deadlift tends to climb right there with my squat. But it's time to get my squat back up, because you guys have seen me hit a fairly clean like 550 before. I've also done, now granted it was high with the cambered bar, it was above depth, but I've done 605 with just a belt on, you know. There's no excuse for me to be where I am other than I just need to rebuild the quads. And for me, squats. Squats are the king of exercises. And for me, they are arguably the best quad builder I've ever had, tied with the 45-degree leg press. I would say it's been pretty similar historically, but like I said, I don't have the space for one. They're expensive, and I just simply don't have a place to put it. You know, I don't have a place to put it right now. I'm out of space. So it's not an option. So it's time to go back to a little bit with my roots with the lower body. I'm going to be hammering the pause squats. Hopefully you guys will follow me on the journey, but I thought I would do a separate video explaining what I'm doing, but it also is very consistent with my long-term message. You know, I've always said in both of my messages, this has never been a flip-flop. Number one, I've always said squats are the king of exercises. Number two, I've always said I hate doing squats. I hate squats. I don't enjoy them, but it's what needs to be done, right? It's what needs to be done right now. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.